So here we have the long-awaited recording of Passport Office. Obviously, with our situation, all the people that we've got now who have severed their birth certificate, we'd like the Passport Agency to explain to us what it is that is now required in place of something that we haven't really got anymore. So give them a call, see what they've got to say.
Thank you for calling Her Majesty's Passport Office. We will collect your personal details during your contact with us, and we comply with data protection legislation when processing personal data. For more information, the HM Passport Office Privacy Information Notice can be found on gov.uk. Please note that your call may be recorded for training purposes.
And so will yours.
If you are happy to continue in English, press 1. If you prefer the service in Welsh, press 2. I'm sorry, that was an invalid selection. Please listen carefully and select one of the following options. Thank you for calling Her Majesty's Passport Office. We will collect your personal details during your contact with us, and we comply with data protection legislation when processing personal data. For more information, the HM Passport Office Privacy Information Notice can be found on gov.uk. Please note that your call may be recorded for training purposes. If you are happy to continue in English, press 1. If you prefer the service in Welsh, press 2. This number is for customers who have applied using the online passport application service on gov.uk. If you have used this service, please press 1. If you have a query about any other passport matter, please press 2. If you are calling about how the UK leaving the European Union will affect travel to Europe, press 0. To continue the call in Welsh, press 1. For information on passport fees, press 2. If you want to book an appointment, press 3. If you want to check the progress of a current application, press 4. To report a passport which is lost or stolen, press 5. If you wish to check you are British before you apply for a passport, including if you are applying for a child passport on the basis that you, their parent, have settled in the UK, including if you have acquired settled status through the EU settlement scheme, press 6. If you wish to check how to settle in the UK, obtain indefinite leave to remain status, or have any other immigration inquiry, press 7. For anything else, press 8. If your inquiry relates to passport validity, visas and entry requirements, you must visit www.gov.uk and search for the country of your intended travel. If you are calling to get information on passport photos, press 1. If you are calling to get information on counter signatures, press 2. For anything else, press 3. Please hold to speak to an advisor.
Finally.
Good morning, thank you for calling, or sorry, good afternoon, thank you for calling Her Majesty's Passport Office. My name's Joy. How can I help you today?
Hello, Joy. I've been trying to create a new passport on the online service. And I've got to the point where it's asked first the date of birth. The problem is that the individual that I'm doing this for, and including myself as well as family, we've severed the birth certificates and returned those back to the Crown Corporation. We have in place, sorry, got a frog in my throat. In place of those, we've got an evidence of life form and a live born record. I spoke to the Home Office a few years ago regarding this situation. That's why I haven't applied for a new passport until now. And they said to send over what it is that we have got. And they talked to me about a plenipotentiary. We're ministers of universal law, and we've got the same status as a minister plenipotentiary. So it isn't an ordinary passport application. The question, obviously, that has arisen on the online site is, what is your date of birth? And obviously the date of birth is different from the date that you were born. You were born obviously on a certain date and burst into the system of commerce when the child was registered. So I'd just like some clarification, please, as to which is going to be the best way to be able to, well, it's not a renewal of a passport, because that would mean that the application was using the old out-of-date information and the birth certificate. So what is it that I need to do?
Right, getting sort of a wee bit confused there.
Right.
When you say date of birth, that would be the date that the child was born.
No, it's not.
The child was registered.
It's not actually. It's two different things. Otherwise, it would say the date of being born. I know it's actually two separate things. So one date is the date that you were born, and the other date is the date that you were registered. And that's why there's two separate dates. So I don't want to put false information in there through a lack of competence, really, and due to my competence in the comprehension of what it is, the difference between those two things. That's why I'm calling you.
Right, I have to be truthful with you. It's the first time that I've ever heard that.
Right.
Right, it's for a child, didn't you say? Yes.
Well, he's no longer a child anymore. Everybody has been determined as legal fictions and legal minors, even after the age of 7 years old. It doesn't matter how old you get. We've been classed as a ward of state, because people haven't taken it upon themselves to remedy the presumption of the Sesquitervie Act of 1666, which is why that's why I'm calling you. So I need some clarification on how would be the best way, and what is it that, obviously I'm not going to go through the ordinary passport rules on the website, because I would be committing fraud if I did, and I don't want to do that.
Right, so start off with, what type of application? Is it a first-time British passport?
Yes, that's what we're going to do, even though the legal name that has been applied to a passport previously. And like I said, I spoke to the Home Office about this, and they said that to send it in, send in the documentation to you. So I think perhaps to do it on paper, but obviously that's going to take longer, isn't it, if we do it that way? And even at that,
it actually wouldn't make any difference to
Right.
the length of time. At the minute, what way, if you do it online, or if you do it by paper copy, the only way that it would come quicker is by using booking an appointment for the 7-day fast track service.
I think,
so it is
right.
So okay, I'm just trying to get my head around this. I'm really, really sorry.
Sure.
So you'd say it is the first time passport, but he had a passport, did you say, in his previous name?
He had a passport using the birth certificate and all of the data that was applied before, such as what I just said, the date of birth. It wasn't the date of birth. So the actual document that we created was false. The problem that we've got is on the birth certificate, it says not to be used for ID.
And where did that birth certificate come from?
From Keighley in West Yorkshire. And we've also got one from Leeds that says the same. It's Crown. It's a Crown birth certificate. And it says at the bottom, Crown copyright, not to be used for ID.
Right. if anybody is submitting an application for, a first passport or a passport that has been lost or damaged,
Hmm.
a birth certificate needs to be sent in to back up what is on the application form.
I know, but
But I'm gonna have to place you on hold here,
okay.
just slightly, if I can get speaking to someone.
Okay, what you can tell
because,
them just before you put me on hold, you can tell them that
Yeah.
what we've got instead of a birth certificate is called an evidence of life form, and it's an N206, which
All
is
right, evidence of life form.
yeah, and
Okay,
it's from the government's website, and it's an N for November 206, and it's been stamped by a doctor. We had to go to the doctor and get the doctor to evidence that we were alive, because after the age of 7, the Sesquitervie Act presumes that you're all dead, lost at sea, unfortunately. And people aren't told this. So we've been using these documents and identifying ourselves as these things, these titles, and they're not, it's actually fraud.
Well, most of, I have to say now, unfortunately, most of what you're saying to me, I have never heard
No,
of it before. As I say, date of birth on birth certificates is the date that you're actually born, but you're
It's,
saying what's on yours is the date that it was actually registered,
yeah,
not
it's
the actual date the person was born.
yeah, and there's 2 different birth certificates. There's the birth certificate that you get from the registrar's office or from the
Yeah.
rolls, but it's called a live born record that actually is recording the baby being born, as opposed to being birthed. These are 2 separate legal terminologies, which obviously
Right, I mean, there's no point in saying yes, you understand what you're saying.
Of course,
really don't
I
understand,
appreciate your
you know,
honesty. If
what
you,
what it is you're saying.
it would be worse.
Stay on the line.
Yeah, it'd be worse if you did, it'd be worse if you did say, oh, yes, I know what you're talking about, and and tried to. So I appreciate your honesty. Thank you.
No problem. If you just stay on the line there and see if I can speak to one of the other colleagues here and see if they can give me any further guidance on it. Okay?
That's lovely. Thank you. I'll hold.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think that's Vivaldi, isn't it?
you're holding there. I was just going through everything there with one of my other colleagues there. Now, again, what he was saying is to do with the date of birth. Okay, what we accept or as a birth certificate is on the date of birth. It's the date that the child was born, not the date that the child was registered. And on the birth certificate, where you had said there, not to be used for ID, what that means is it cannot be used for ID because there's no facial recognitions on it. So it wouldn't be able to be used for say opening up a bank account or anything. Again, for a renewal or anything of a passport. That's why the photographs is always asked for. If it's a first passport, the one of the passport photographs is then countersigned by someone, and that then is identifying the person that the date of birth is on the birth certificate and the name of the person that's on the birth certificate as well.
But the problem is with that, obviously, is if I get somebody to, I'll take a photograph of myself and take it to somebody, and I've just printed somebody else's birth certificate off the website. If I know the place where they were born, the date that they were born, and their parents' names, I can actually get a document from that website and then take a photograph of myself, get one of my friends to say that that is me and they've known me by that name, and endorse the back of it, and it's got no validity to it. That's the point. Now, we've also not got a right of use. Hang on a second. We've also not got a right of use of that legal fiction. That name has been copyrighted by Crown Corporation. And there's something called the Sesquiterville Act of 1666, which means that if we are to use those names, we're actually implying that we are dead, lost at sea, and making a false claim. Now, I don't expect you to be aware of that, but what I'm saying is because we are aware of that, I was the Sheriff of Dorset, and that's why I'm aware of these things. And I had to go and get a document called an evidence of life form, because that now if I need a document that says that I am proved to be alive, there must be somebody somewhere presuming that I'm not. That's what made me go and get the document. Me and my doctor actually had a very long conversation about this before he stamped it.
Now, as far as I can't remember what I was going to say. It's gone off. You said something there.
About you were saying about
it was.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. Right. Oh, I know what it was. You had said there that you went on to the website and downloaded, was it a birth certificate or something like that?
I've got a copy of the birth certificates, but they've already been sent back to Crown Corporation. Failure to perform, they've been severed. So we haven't got a birth certificate. We've got an evidence of life form instead.
Yeah, the certificates can only be given to anybody that from the actual registry office. Yeah. Nothing can go down or anything.
No, that's right. No, that's right. I didn't say I can go. What I'm saying is that I can open the website of the Rolls building, and I can put in any name that I choose. And if I know the data, if I know that somebody was born on this day and that's where they were born and their parents' names, the Rolls building will send me a birth certificate. And then I can take my photograph.
I wouldn't be 100% sure, but I think there probably would be more.
It's not. I've been.
More to it than that.
It's not. If you go on there, you can actually do this. And we did this as an exemplification to prove There's no validity to this at all. Because if I can go and do that, you can do it yourself now. If you go, I actually applied for a birth certificate in my sister's name because I knew her details, and they sent it to me. Now, if I'd have been dishonest, I could have gone and taken a photograph. I showed my sister and I said, look, they've sent me this. And she's like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm proving that this system is without any validity to it, because I could have then gone and taken my photograph, got my friend to sign it to say that they've known me as that name, and send it up to you guys, and you would have given me a passport. That's what I'm
right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're saying there, but if you know, if any document is downloaded, okay, off the website.
No, I'm not saying download it. I'm not saying that we download it. You put in the information. So I open up the website. Now, if I want to go and get a copy of a birth certificate, where do I go?
Registry office.
Right, I go to the registry office, and on there, I can order a birth certificate, can't I?
You're going to have documents.
No, you don't. You don't have. You haven't got any documents at that point, have you? Because you're applying for the mother of all documents, which is the birth certificate. So I have to put in there. It says, what would you? I've even got one for somebody who's in prison, an adoption certificate. They'd given me the assignment of their consent to do that for them and gave me their details. I put their details in there, and the Rolls office sent it to my address.
Right. I'd say I mean, I'm really
have a look yourself, love. I know.
Right.
Have a look. Have a look yourself and see. That's really not the point of the reason why I'm calling. That's just a little extra information, probably a bit too much. But my point is that I haven't got a birth certificate. I have got an evidence of life form. I've also got a situation where a family have come to me and none of them have been registered at their births at all inside the system, and they want to also use a passport, which obviously this is why I said, okay, I'm going to call you about my situation as well. But also, what if somebody's never been registered? What do we use then?
You need to, somewhere along the line, disregardless of, excuse me, if you were born in the UK or if you were born outside the UK, okay, you still need to be registered.
No, you don't.
You
don't need. There's thousands of people who are not registered, who have decided not to register their children into the Crown Corporation.
Well, and how are they, how are they then accepted into likes of schools or anything like that?
With a live born, they go, they're homeschooled, the children are homeschooled, they don't go to a school, they don't take any benefits from the system. But the problem is, and they can live like that, there's a whole community of them living like that in England, Wales and Scotland. But the problem arises when they want to leave the country, because obviously this is where we've got to now. They've been living out of the state system. The UK is a non-geographical state. The countries are England, Wales, and Scotland and Ireland. And they've been put together as a super state, as the United Kingdom. That's actually a company title under Her Majesty's government that is recorded inside the Securities Exchange Commission in Washington as a private corporation. And Universal Law Community Trust is actually secured party to them. So there is another structure in place. We've actually put this in front of Justice Stein at Queen's Bench regarding COVID and the unlawful incarceration of people in the country who do not wish to contract with Crown Corporation in order for them to be able to exercise their rights, such as travel freely. So that's why I've got such a demand now that's why it warrants a phone call from me to call you to find out what the process is. If I'm a diplomat or an ambassador of my own state, there is another passport that you can have, which is the equivalent of a diplomat's passport. And it's
It's a diplomatic passport,
yeah, it's I think that because the status of these people would be the equivalent of plenipotentiary minister, then they've got their own trust. They don't have their trust inside Crown Corporation. They would need a different travel document. So I think it's that. I think we need to apply for the equivalent of a diplomat's passport with this paperwork that we've got, and go down that avenue. But obviously that is not giving me the option to do that on your website. So that's why I'm saying.
What I keep going back to, sorry for interrupting
No,
you
no
there,
problem.
is when I was speaking to one of my other colleagues, the first thing was that whenever you it boils down to the date of birth.
Yeah,
The
it's
date
the
of
second
birth is
question.
the date that you were born, not the date that you were registered. But what you're saying is you have some people now that wasn't even registered.
Yeah,
So they're not going to be able to get
a birth certificate
a
anyway.
passport or anything without any documents.
Well, people
The best
have.
thing I
Yeah,
think that, sorry,
but
the best thing that I think that you can do there is for a subject access request to see if they would be able to give you any further information. It means you can put down everything you want in the email. Okay, these guys, to be truthful with you, would probably understand it a lot better than what I am.
right.
But I'm still trying to get my head, round it there.
Yeah.
Have you got, let's say you can go on and you can get subject access request form. So you can, say you can fill that in, or you can write to our Durham office. It's entirely up to you what you want there.
I think if we put something in writing and send it up to the Home Office.
But the Home Office has nothing to do with the likes of birth certificates or registering or anything.
No, but they're in charge of the passing of the ports, fundamentally, aren't they, with visas and things like that? Or does that come from the passport agency now as well?
No, the visas and all is done by just bear with me, I'm just trying to see if I can get the number. The passport, or sorry, visas is done by UK visa and immigration.
Right. So if I go through the online application now, just as doing the steps that ordinarily, is there a point where I'm asked to upload a copy of the birth certificate, or how do we send the copy?
You send the birth certificate in, and the only thing that you will be asked to do is to upload 2 new photographs.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And if the person requires a counter signature, then on the part for counter signature, you put in the counter signature's name and email address.
Right.
And the form that they need to fill in will be then sent straight over to them. Now, you'd mentioned something there at the beginning, unless I got it wrong, and if I did, I'm sorry. Did you say that this person initially did have a passport, but it was not in, it was in a previous name?
It was in the name that was on the birth certificate, but it expired. And then when I spoke to the Home Office, they said just renew the passport. And I said, well, the problem is we can't renew the passport because the status of the documents are no longer applicable to that individual. So we didn't renew the passport at that point, and they advised us to make a new application. So that's what I was going to do. I was going to now make new applications for a whole family, to have their a new passport with this new information attached to the application, so that there was no, we don't want to commit the fraud. If it is decided at your end that this is what is going to be granted to us in exchange for what we've given you, then that is obviously the determination comes from Her Majesty's government, not us. So we're really reserving our rights by making sure that how we apply for these documents are done without committing any fraud or any, anything that can be interpreted later as being fraudulent. So
yeah, no, I do understand there exactly where you're coming from there. Like the Home Office, but I can't understand why
they put me through to the Home
Home
Office.
Office because
I spoke to the passport agency when it was a passport agency, and they put me through. They said, look, we can't deal with this. We'll put you through. We'll give you the telephone for the Home Office. And I spoke to 3 individuals there over a period of 2 days because they needed to go and clarify some of the information that I'd given them as well. And that was what their reply was, which was to send in the evidence of life form with the application, and they would review it. So I just wanted to know whether that had changed or not. We don't want a passport that's got a P on it, which is what
do you mean a P?
Well, they said it means private on there. There's different types, isn't there, passport?
There's an ordinary passport for anybody, or there is if somebody requires a second passport for work, it's not private or anything else.
What does the P stand for?
You can either put down British national or a British citizen. That's it.
On the passport.
No private.
On the passport, where you if you open it, it says type. TYPE.
Type, that would be the type of application.
Right, and then
if it is a first time one, a name change, a lost or stolen passport, replacement, that's what type means.
But it also it's all of them have only ever got a letter P after them. And I want to know what the P means if it doesn't, because I was told it meant private by the passport agency. But I've also been informed that it's got many other connotations attached to it. And that's why I'm asking, what does the P stand for?
I'm trying to get into the system here. As I said, it's new to me. Right, so let's see. Okay, passport types. Right, what type of British passports, policy, dual national change of name, overseas, change of address, exclusive passport. All right, other types of British passports. Let's see what that brings up. Okay, let's see. And it's not British overseas territories or
no, that's BCPO.
The thing is, it's just ordinary standard applications.
And that's not.
Were they all born in the UK or overseas?
No, I have got a passport that's out of date that was issued from the British Embassy in Spain, and it has got BCP, British Overseas Territories on in there as a type.
Right.
All of the other ones that we've had issued direct from people who are resident inside England were given P on their passport. Where you're looking now and it says ordinary applications, well, have you got a heading for extraordinary applications there?
Right, for the actual form for submitting the application.
No, for you there, you're looking
Are you
at,
talking about?
at your end
So
there.
I'm on what we call our knowledge base.
Right,
And I put in, and it's called, I'm asking for background action and eligibility.
right.
Okay, so again, that gives you different types of passports, and who you know, you have to put your inquiry to, or anything.
Can you search in there?
Just gives you like.
Can you search in there plenipotentiary? PLE. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, PLE.
PLNI. POT.
Yeah.
EN.
Yeah.
TI. Oh, I think I might have spelled that wrong.
Employment.
Hang on a second. I think I might have spelled it. It's difficult to do when you're not writing it down. Let me write it down. PLE. Sorry. So we've got PLEN. PLEN. IPOT. ENTIARY. Because they're ministers of a universal life church. That's where I'm calling you from.
And so PLENI and then POTEN.
TIARY. It's a diplomat equivalent who has full powers to sign a treaty or convention on behalf of his or her sovereignty. When used as a noun, more generally, the word plenipotentiary also refers to any person who has full powers. It's
just bear with me because we're going to have to try to go back and again on a different knowledge base quest here. I think if it's not bringing anything up here, I think your best would be either to write to the office or email, like PLENI POTEN
IT.
Yeah.
Then so P, then it gets to the N, then ITARY.
ARY. Yeah. No, it's not bringing anything up for that at all.
Ah, here I found it's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that issue these passports, not the passport agency. I found that.
Right, that's who it is then that you need to contact.
Right, okay, so I'll give them a call and see if we can get some kind of application form from them. And in the meantime, I'll send this application in by post. And if it's not something that the passport agency can deal with, then if they can send me notification of what it is that they require and why. And then at the same time, Sorry,
if you put a wee note in along with the application.
And
just explaining everything, and they will send back then the documentation.
Okay. And so can that's really great. Thank you for your help. Can I print off the application form somewhere? Is there somewhere to print that off?
No.
Right.
You need to get an application form from your nearest post office.
Lovely. All right.
You do.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Joy. It's been a joy speaking with you.
No problem.
And have a lovely day.
Thank you.
And you. Bye-bye.